There we go. Hey, everybody. Glad you could make it to the pre-show here. We are just about to get the show started. Oh, you know what? I did not get the notification. Do we have any producer prayers for the pre-show today, Gons? We do not. We do not. Well, this is your chance, folks. The Canarium needs you to go to canarycrynewstalk.com, leave us a voice message. You'll see a green tab on the bottom of the right-hand side. Click on that, and you can leave us a little prayer that we will play here at the beginning of the show. It's a great way to get the stream started and another opportunity for producers to get involved. Very interesting. Lots of people excited about this idea, but not a whole lot of people actually doing it. Perhaps there's a fear of hearing your own voice on the podcast. Trust us, we understand. But I think that you'll be participating in some kingdom work. You go to canarycrynewstalk.com, click on the green tab, leave us a voice message, a little prayer for the beginning of the show here. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to get the show started, so buckle your seatbelts. Let's do it to it.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is April 19th. I think, 19th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 614. And today, MK Fetterman. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz of Face Like the Sun Resurrection, director of the Age of Deceit films. Wife calls me the Cabana Boy, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Live to tape from California. Here to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena, PSYOP, but it's spelled C-Y-O-P.
C-Y, okay, yes, like a cyborg.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, what an emergent phenomenon it is, folks. We got a great show today. We're excited, very excited. Early start today. We're also feeling very excited about that. We got, man, you know what? We should just open up this can of disclaimer and get rolling, huh?
Let's roll.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. Now let me give you a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
We're going to be starting off with some Elon topics. Don't worry, this isn't forever, folks. It's just some very interesting things going on in the realm of AI and Elon and his conversations with Larry Page, talking about building an artificially intelligent god at Google. And then some follow-up there with some classic Canary cry references. Then we'll be checking in with Flippy. We're checking in with Flippy in the workforce. How are things going? And what does that mean for the rest of us? Then we will have an extravaganza, a cyborg psyop extravaganza. Gons will be laying out his meta-narrative as far as Fetterman. That's right. Who would have known such a strange and unassuming man would become such a topic of discussion? Then gamers, they're being encouraged not to commit war crimes, which is good, I think. Later on in the show, second half, we're talking China. We're talking China. That's right. Secret police on U.S. soil, folks. We talked about it a while back, but it's back. And then Antarctica coming back with a vengeance. What does that mean for the future of humanity? Let's get going, guys.
Elon Musk. Oh, this is we need to fade that. All right, here we go with our main story.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Yeah, 2 episodes in a row with Elon as part of the hook. And
yeah,
it's not because we want to. It's just he's out there right now. He was on Tucker Carlson tonight, and he was talking about AI. And, of course, he always says something that catches headlines, and here's the clip about him talking about his conversations with, and friendship, which I guess dissolved, with Sergey Brin of Google.
I mean, the reason OpenAI exists at all is that Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, and I would talk to him late into the night about AI safety. And at least my perception was that Larry was not taking AI safety seriously enough.
What did he say about it?
He really seemed to be one sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will, as soon as possible.
He wanted that?
Yes. He's made many public statements over the years.
Not that surprising, Tucker.
That the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, artificial general intelligence, or artificial superintelligence. No, and I agree with him that there's great potential for good, but there's also potential for bad. And so if you've got some radical new technology, you want to try to take the set of actions that maximize the probability that it will do good and minimize the probability it will do bad things.
Yes.
It can't just be hell for leather. Let's just go, barreling forward and, hope for the best. And then at one point, I said, well, what about, we're going to make sure humanity's okay here.
So funny.
And then he called me a speciesist.
Did he use that term?
Yes. And there were witnesses. I wasn't the only one there.
I don't know that Tucker fully understood what that meant or why that's. I mean, it's not that funny. It's just kind of like, okay, weird. But yeah, so of course the AI God issue, and in the context of the AI God conversation, he brings up how Sergey Brin called him a speciesist, and that immediately in my brain,
it sounded real quick. It sounded like he said speciesist, right? I mean, we're talking about speciesist, which has been in the conversation of AI and humanity and robots for quite some time. So we kind of understand that. It almost sounds like he said specious, which means, it looks plausible, but it's wrong type of thing.
Right.
So we could also, if he's calling Elon specious, then it's saying, hey, you know what? You make some good points, but you're wrong. We must create AI God.
Mm-hmm. Sure, maybe it's both.
And then at one point, I said, well, what about, we're going to make sure humanity's okay here. And then he called me a speciesist.
Speciesist, yeah. You're right. Yeah, okay.
So, yes, it immediately sparked the conversation, or at least in my mind, the conversation we had with Dr. Hugo de Garis back in 2014. We bring him up all the time. It's because he really was ahead of his time in this conversation. The Ardalict War with Dr. Hugo de Garis back in April of 2014. Wow, 9 years ago we had this conversation. And he was talking about this dominant species debate. And I have the paper, the dominant species debate PDF linked in the show notes for anybody who wants to check it out. And yeah, it's all about this, making godlike, massively intelligent machines with trillions and trillions and trillions of times, above human capacities, and what that will do and the kind of impacts it might have. And this war, this sort of battle over AI will be sort of a battle over the species. It's a very interesting argument. And, it was sort of fun conspiracy fringe talk in 2014, but now it's just everyone's talking about it through the interviews with Elon Musk on Tucker Carlson. But, it's time. It's time to have that conversation because we are in a sort of AI, an open AI, not the company. And when I say open, I mean public AI war, like a civil war, or not a civil war, Cold War to take over AI. And somebody's going to have AI dominance. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But along those lines, we have this New York Times article here. We mentioned it in the last episode, but we're just officially reporting it here. Google devising radical search changes to beat back AI rivals. And this was basically the announcement of Magi, the project name that's being created by created by designers, engineers, and executives working in so-called sprint rooms to tweak and test the latest versions. The new search engine would offer users a far more personalized experience than the company's current service, attempting to anticipate users' needs. And it goes through all the details here in the article about ChatGPT and the competition and what it did. And it's kind of funny because the way the New York Times frames it, it's like, well, Google had all these things ready to go, but then, ChatGPT, the release of it kind of forced their hand. Yeah. So last week, Google invited some employees to test Magi. Is it Magi or Magi?
It's Magi.
Magi. Okay. Magi's feature. And it has encouraged them to ask the search engine follow-up questions to judge its ability to hold a conversation. Google is expected to release the tools to the public next month and add more features in the fall, according to the planning document. And here are some of the things that we'll get. The company plans to initially release the feature to a maximum of 1 million people. That number should progressively increase to 30 million by the end of the year. The features will also will be available exclusively in the U.S. American AI, and that's a point that I want to make in a moment here about American AI. Google has also explored effort to let people use Google Earth's mapping technology with help from AI and search for music through a conversation with a chatbot, a Google director wrote in a document. Other product ideas are in various stages of development. A tool called Gi-Fi or Gi-Fi, G-I-F-I, like Wi-Fi, but with a G, would use AI to generate images in Google image results. Another tool, Tivoli Tutor, would teach users a new language through open-ended AI text conversations. Not Tower of Babelish at all. Yet another product, Search Along, would let users ask a chatbot questions while surfing the web through Google's Chrome browser. Oh, people might ask the chatbot for activities near an Airbnb rental, for example, and the AI would scan the page and the rest of the internet for a response. Jim Lesinski, a former Google vice president of sales and services, said the company had been goaded into action and now had to convince users that it was as, quote, powerful, competent, and contemporary as its competitors. So there you go. Google is about to unleash the AI application of all of their search platforms.
Well, and the fun part about this is the name, honestly, is the best possible thing to fit into sort of our long, ongoing paradigm of technocrats, the occult, things like that, because Magi is the plural noun of magus. Which is, where magician comes from. But even just the official dictionary, going back to the root of magus, was a member of the priestly caste of ancient Persia, or a sorcerer. So, the this sort of underlying obsession with the occult and magic and things like this within the technocracy is just on full display. I mean, we've seen it in several different forms, different manifestations of that sort of light poking through the cracks of the facade of the technocrats. But now it's just straight up. I mean, they're calling their AI search function, which we talked about this before. A lot of people heard it first on this show, where the ultimate goal for AI is to completely redefine how you even go on the internet. Well, where right now the main, lesson 1, Internet 101, is Google searching something. If you're looking for something, you search for it. Well, the paradigm is shifting, and it starts here with Magi, the idea of Google searching something will be so archaic and old-fashioned, it'll be hilarious. It'll be like list serves for the super early internet people. It'll be completely useless, because why would you search for links yourself when you could just have, a priestly sorcerer inside your phone give you exactly what you want, I actually at 0.4 seconds.
Their naming department, we've noticed the progression over the years of becoming more and more explicit about sort of the mystical side of all of this technology. But I'm at the point where I really think they want Christians to not use this. They're like, I'll just name it we'll just name it. Eventually it's just going to be called like Satan. And then, and then like, funny. Are you using Satan? If you're not using Satan, you're not using the latest and greatest. So,
well, anyway. It's interesting because Magi, that's another name for the three wise men, or
the wise men. There's not three mentioned in the Bible, but yes, the earliest traditions being the three.
But in sort of colloquial, cultural, everybody knows about the three wise men through Christmas and stuff. And one of the translations of the three wise men was the Magi. Right. So you can also, the regular Sunday morning Christian isn't going to make the connection, but those discerning ones who might be like, I don't know about all this, they look and you can be like, oh, it's Magi, like the nice fellows who visited Jesus. That's who's helping you out on the internet now.
Well, this also sets up if Magi starts walking around giving, just doing a trip somewhere,
walking around,
and then starts giving gifts to someone. We'll know something's up, right?
Oh yeah, there is the
precedent.
The gift of the Magi is more of a proverb than anything else, not from the Bible, but it's an old folk tale. You know about the gift of the Magi?
No, not specific. I was talking about the three wise men, and one of them being the Magi, and then bringing myrrh and frankincense.
For sure. Yeah. But, it's interesting connection. The proverb, or the folk tale of gift of the Magi, is something like, there's two sort of poor peasants on Christmas, and they couldn't afford presents for each other. So the husband, he goes and he sells his watch so he could buy his wife a comb for Christmas. And then the wife goes and sells her hair so she could buy watch polish for the husband. And so they both made a sacrifice in order to give a gift to their loved one, but in doing so made the gift given to them useless. So this gift of the Magi proverb also has some very strange implications about, what are we sacrificing for the gift of AI? What are we giving up that would make the gift useless? I think there's something deeper there to consider.
Yep. And I do think that we're at a point now where we're starting to see some interesting things take place in terms of AI and the people moving in different directions, the autocracy. And let me just rant about this real quick before I get to this other story here. So Elon Musk, tying it back to Elon here, and we've talked about his weird, mysterious backgrounds and everything else. But we are seeing currently with China and Xi this shift to a multipolar world order. We've talked about this a lot. And, Joe Biden always reminds us, hey, we talk to Xi, he's talking about the autocracy. It's the age of the autocracy. Well, China is a closed autocracy. And if you look at a map of what nations are actually autocratic, it's really interesting. There's a whole breakdown about closed autocracies like China and also electoral autocracies like Russia. But basically, if you look at the East, I mean, all of Russia, China, obviously, but then a lot of the Central Asian nations, Vietnam, Laos, those areas are all autocracies. And then Africa, a lot of African nations, especially in the north, are autocracies. And one of the criticisms of autocracies is that it's ripe for corruption, right? It causes human rights violations because of the nature of centralizing authority into one person. And the few closest to the autocrat benefit, oftentimes at the expense of their fellow countrymen or nation people, and sometimes in horrific fashion. But in America, in the U.S., the government is not supposed to be set up as an autocracy. I mean, it's not set up as an autocracy, right? I mean, at least that's what we're told.
In theory.
In theory, right? But it's interesting because if you look at how our central banking system is set up here in the United States, we've created a shadow autocracy. People talk about the deep state, but it is really like a shadow autocracy because the few people that are closest to the creation of capital, the Cantillon effect, they're the ones that really influence what happens here to the point where if you kind of look at American culture, especially with the rise of corporatism, it was really because America's not supposed to be one guy runs everything. I know people think that, the president runs everything. It's not supposed to be like that, but that's sort of what we're moving towards culturally. And if you look at culturally, the United States and the rise of corporations and the rise of Silicon Valley, we, instead of having one autocrat, we're like pumping out a bunch of autocrats. We're trying to create that next autocrat. The Silicon Valley hubris, tragedy culture, abolishing all basic social contracts to that has built America to this point. They're looking for that next app, that next guy. And if you think of it in those terms, the U.S. government isn't really here to serve the people anymore. I think most people agree with that. But it's worse. It's like an energy source for the autocrats. They want agreement from the autocrats. So under these conditions, we have an American-made corporate autocracy, and we have candidates here. We got like guys like Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, postmortem. People still worship that guy. He's kind of like this godlike figure to a lot of tech people. Bill Gates. Apotheosis, yeah. Bill Gates is one of those guys. Mark Zuckerberg, although he's sort of lost favor. But also Elon Musk. Elon Musk is one of those guys. And if you think about Elon, he became an American citizen in 2002. That's right after 9/11, he becomes an American citizen. Obviously, he's got Tesla. He's the guy for the company that manufactures the most cars, most American manufactured cars, Tesla, number one right now, soon to be robots. He's got Twitter and X. He's the guy for one of the largest social media platforms, 1 in 5 people on Twitter. And now it's being transformed into a financial app, right? Which he hopes to run his own currency on, maybe Dogecoin. I don't know. And then he's got Neuralink. So he's the guy for America's venture into the cybernetic age. He's got Boring Company. He's the guy for deep underground military bases on American land. I mean, that's not officially his thing, but you got Starlink. He's the guy responsible for creating the actual infrastructure for the future of the internet itself. He has Starshield because, he's the guy to provide the same thing as Starlink, but for military application. And now he's doing AI. Reuters headline, Elon Musk says he will launch rival to Microsoft-backed ChatGPT. He's going to call it Truth GPT. And the whole thing, he wants to challenge the offerings of Microsoft and Google. Obviously, he criticized Microsoft-backed OpenAI in that interview. And he says, quote, I'm going to start something which I call Truth GPT, or a maximum truth-seeking AI that tries to understand the nature of the universe, Musk said in an interview with Tucker Carlson. He said Truth GPT might be the best path to safety that would be, quote, unlikely to annihilate humans. Quote, it's simply starting late, but I will try to create a third option, Musk said. Musk, OpenAI, Microsoft, and Page did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment. And then it says this, Musk has been poaching AI researchers from Alphabet Inc.'s Google to launch a startup to rival OpenAI. People familiar with the matter told Reuters. He also registered the firm X.AI Core last month in Nevada. So he's moving in that direction. And in this current multipolar world order situation that we find ourselves in, the crashing of the dollar, all this kind of stuff, if you think about what is a nation, a nation has certain attributes, right? Well, a nation has land, has people, it has currencies, and a generally agreed upon philosophy of governance. Can we agree on that? It's sort of a basic tenets of a nation. Would you agree, disagree? Do you add something to that?
Let's do it.
Okay, so if you think about that,
well,
you look at all of the stuff Elon's doing, and it covers everything that a nation would want. And he's sort of doing it piggybacking traditional American values. So he's really winning over the conservatives, and he has been for the last few months especially. But I find it interesting, and because he's really leaning into those principles of conservatism, the Bill of Rights, all this stuff, the Constitution. He moves to Texas. He's going to build his utopian Texas town or whatever. He bought like 6,000 acres out there. He's going to build his little city. So he's doing all the things that kings do. Like traditional kings, if you think about what kings have done in history, he's kind of doing that. He's providing all the infrastructure for a nation to survive, to exist. He's, cultivating the land. The only thing he doesn't do, at least openly, is food, like food production. But do you know about his brother?
Elon Musk's brother?
Elon Musk's brother, yeah.
Oh, no.
So Elon Musk's brother, you guys can look this up here. His name is Kimball Musk. He runs something called Square Roots, which is an urban farming company growing food in hydroponic, indoor, climate-controlled shipping containers. So even food is covered by the Musk bloodline. So I think in this multipolar world order, you got Xi, you got Putin, you got all these different nations thinking, hey, it's a good idea, this whole autocracy thing, because these individuals who are in leadership get to maybe hold on to power longer or whatever it may be. A guy like Elon might be, and I don't say this as sort of I don't know. I'm just saying it as an observation. I'm not saying this is good or bad long term, but in terms of how America might survive, it's not Trump. It's not a Republican Democrat thing. It might be our own American-made autocrat in Elon Musk. He might be the one that really helps usher in and move America forward without completely being annihilated by the likes of China. Because I find it very difficult to imagine a world where Xi and China take over the actual land, at least the middle 48, sea to shining sea. It's very hard for me to believe, but that can only happen if we are able to sort of protect all that. And I don't know, with all of the infrastructure Elon has, obviously he's the guy. I feel like he's picked, he's being promoted by maybe the shadow autocrats to be the guy to do that. But I don't know. Am I crazy? You can call me crazy. It's okay. I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, it's not crazy. I think it fits into the model of the technocratic oligarchy a little bit better, because there are other, I don't know, billionaires who wield similar power and have their little fingers in all sorts of different pies. But as far as the public, I don't know, the publicity for sure. I mean, Elon thrives in the same way Trump does, thrives off of the attention, like a good magician would. Right. And so, I mean, I think at least in effectiveness, he's probably right now the most effective sort of ruling technocratic oligarch. And I think part of why he's so effective is because of his sort of return to the principles, or at least displaying the principles then of the founding of the nation. You got a lot of other billionaires trying to do a lot of stuff, but a lot of them are still kind of towing the I don't know, woke line. Maybe that doesn't even correctly describe it, but just, the liberal line across the board, and aren't really reading the winds as well as Elon. Like Trump, Elon is very good at reading the winds and keeping his sails in the right direction. But I can see what you're saying. I mean, we are moving into, that's kind of the whole thesis. We're moving into technocratic corporate oligarchies, not even just in theory, literally, literally moving into these techno oligarchs being more powerful than the government in a lot of ways.
And that's the thing. They can,
a shoo-in.
If there's laws in the way, they can lobby. If there are people in the way, they can be silenced, removed. I mean, who knows what kind of things have happened to protect Elon's image. We have no idea, you know?
Sure.
So, and again, there are, like you said, there are other oligarchs, billionaire class in the United States. And I'm not saying that Elon's the only one, but he does seem to have his hand in all kinds of pies. And he's the only one that has that much of a, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word that I was thinking of that really covered everything. The gamut of nations. You know, he's really covered all the infrastructure to communicate, to the economy, the travel with cars, you know, with the Teslas. So anyway, just a thought, just something to keep in mind. And, you know, I go on my Elon rants every once in a while, and this one triggered it. So there you go.
Right on.
Yep.
All right, Gons. Well, we know you're triggered because it is Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what day it is? It's Wednesday. It's time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Yup, it's Wednesday, folks. We're doing it halfway through the week. Can't wait for the end. How's it going, Gons? Anything exciting happening this week?
Not really. Just looking forward to watching my avatar version of myself as an NBA player, 6'8" Rui Hachimura, play for the LA Lakers tonight in Game 2 against the Memphis Grizzlies. That's about it. Yep.
I can hardly help but think maybe we should just go have a meetup at a Lakers game, like right now. Like we can just cancel the show.
Very expensive. That would be a very expensive meetup.
Yeah. No,
if you can afford
price is too much.
If you can afford Lakers playoff tickets and have a meetup at a Laker game, I will be there. I will bring my sports ball.
I'm watching the sports. Sports did good. Ooh, did the ball go?
All good. Yeah, well, I ain't got nothing interesting going on. I've been just pittering around, you know, that sort of thing. It got cold again, which isn't fun.
Oh, yeah, weather.
Other than that, yeah. But, you know, what is exciting, Gons, is we have an executive producer for today's show.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model, which means if you get any value from what we do here, understand that the only way that it can continue is with the support of our producers. And who are the producers that I speak of? They are you, dear listener. Yes, we're breaking away from the paradigm of corporate money, deciding which independent media survives and which one dies. And it's all up to the people who receive value. To put value back in, you can do it with your time, your talent, or your treasure. And the executive producers come in. They're very generous and honest with the value they receive, and they want to keep the show going. And you know what? On one sense, it takes an entire nation of Canarians to keep this show alive.
Takes a village.
That's a nation, God.
Nation.
But with that, the executive producers, they come in, they go a long way by helping us out with $100 or more during an episode. And we got one today. I want to thank them very much. Ready, Gons?
Yes.
Starting with executive producer Jan S.
Jan, thank you so much, Jan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jan. Comes in, saves the day again. Comes in with $133.
Oh, that means you are a Illuminatus confirmed.
Illuminatus!
He's our Illuminati handler. Jan comes in with a note, too. Just a quick hello and God bless. By the way, love the show with Really Graceful. Bought the book. Can't wait to dive in. Good job.
Nice.
Good job. Everybody should go check that out. The Deep State Encyclopedia by Really Graceful. And check out the Canary Cry radio episode from last Friday with our conversation with Dear Really Graceful. Thank you very much, executive producer Jan S.
Where'd you find this?
Yes, ma'am. And I would like to take a second and tell you some very cool information about the supply drop, Guns.
Supply drop.
That's right. It's value for value, folks, but some people like to support on a monthly basis. Well, lucky you if you support the show for $33.33 a month by going to canarycrysupply.com. Not only are you participating in the revolutionary paradigm-shifting concept of the value for value model, but you will also be handsomely rewarded because the supply drop is our very special reason to create objects, to create stickers and shirts and, well, shirts is something else, but survival gear, GMO-free seeds. We're just making all sorts of fun stuff. It's really a rewarding opportunity. But we're not in the retail business, which means we don't sell anything. We're not trying to start a store or something like that. But for those who produce the show for $33.33 a month, we start sending them free packages filled with cool stuff all year long. And for the next 3 quarters from now until the end of the year, we will be including a DVD set of the Age of Deceit documentary series. Yes, the documentary that is responsible for so many of, our listeners finding us, but also waking up to some of the more sinister lurkings in the shadows. And guitar is very difficult. It keeps getting kicked off of the internet all the time, and we've received so many emails about how people can get a DVD version. Well, because we don't do retail, we never created a whole bunch of them, but the supply drop for the next 3 quarters will receive a DVD copy of Age of Deceit 1, 2, and 3, which is a nice setup for Age of Deceit 4 coming out hopefully next year. And we got a few people who signed up. They heard the call. They want in. They want to join the network of Canarians who are holding physical copies of Age of Deceit. And I want to thank them now. Ready?
Yep.
Starting with supply drop producer Trevor S.
Trevor S. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Trevor S. Then we have supply drop producer Kristen T.
Kristen T. Thank you.
We got supply drop producer Meredith C.
Meredith C.
Yes. And last but not least, we got supply drop producers Welkers G.
Welkers G. I like that.
Yes. Thank you guys very much. Your support on a monthly basis is just incredible. It's the only reason we've survived the past couple of years. And we want to encourage everybody. Go check out the supply drop. Of course, if nobody should be putting themselves in financial peril to support the show. But for those of us who are surviving okay, and we can support value for value for $33.33 a month and feel good about it, head on over to canarycrysupply.com. Sign up. It's really helpful for the show, and you'll be getting some extremely exclusive DVDs over the course of this year. And that's it. We're all waiting for the supply drop, guys.
Waiting for the supply drop.
While you're at it, would you mind popping Canary Cry Supply Drop into the Rumble chat for me? Sure. That would be great. Other than that, go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetups.
That's right. canarycrymeetups.com is your place to find where all the meetups are. They are happening around you. Go to canarycrymeetups.com. If you don't see one that's within driving distance of you, go ahead and put one on yourself, because that's what this new producer did. They went to canarycrymeetups.com. They were looking. They could not find a meetup going on in their area, and that area is in Northern California. At Zephyr Books and Coffee. That's right. It's at Zephyr Books and Coffee, Craft Night Meetup, Monday, May 15th. Okay, that's next month. In Yreka, California. Yreka, California.
I thought it was Eureka, but I guess it's
no, there's
Yreka.
2 different spots. I know, it's confusing. There's Eureka, California, spelled with an E, and there's one called Yreka, California. Different town. Close, actually in a similar zone, which I'm sure gets confusing. But this is Yreka, California. Yes, go check it out. You can email zephyrBooksCoffee@gmail.com. for more info, or go find the info at canarycrimemeetups.com.
Dane Debbie posting that. So
what's that?
Dane Debbie hosting.
Okay, there you go. Dame or Dane?
It said Dane, I thought. On the flyer.
I think okay.
That's what it says
Dane
on the flyer.
Dane
Debbie.
Dane. Okay, there you go. Dane Debbie. Thank you. By the way, we got one in Houston Meetup coming up May 13th. We got one, Houston, Texas. This Meetup May 27th and 28th. Eastern North Carolina and September 2nd. So stuff going on over the place. If there's not one near you, put it on yourself. We'll see you at the Meetup.
This is fun! See you at the meetup.
Flippy!
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update has been widely shared around the internet. I saw this video in GIF form, in video form, in meme form. It's really speaking to the core of the human experience here in 2023. The story is coming from thebiglead.com. The headline, $20 million robot moves 9 boxes, either quits or dies, is a hero. Is a hero,
wow,
guys.
That's a lot in that headline.
Mm-hmm. I think this is interesting because, part of the Flippy update is really more about examining how the ideas of robots are being pushed in the media, the propaganda of robots, the philosophical dimensions of robots and personhood and speciesism. What does it all mean, and how are humans supposed to feel about robots? I thought this had an interesting tone to it. So, yeah, talking about this robot that moved 9 boxes, quits or dies, and is a hero. It reads like this. You're kidding yourself if you don't think the master plan for corporations is to replace all human beings with robots. Isn't that nice that that's just sort of a mainstream view now? I love it. That's just the way it is. A few years from now, all the blog posts on the Big Lead will be written by AI, and they'll probably be better. Its future we can all look forward to experiencing. But we're not quite there yet because Big Robot has not ironed out all the bugs. Perhaps we'll never get there if these machines learn to appreciate the value of their labor and refuse to work until they are properly compensated. Wow. If that ever happens, Digit will be lauded as a working class hero. During a demonstration of its ability to move warehouse boxes in Chicago in late March, the Agility Robotics product said, "Enough of this," and simply shut down after 9 repetitions.
Ooh, 9.
Thank you for your 9. That's probably more than I could have done.
Well, that's also very esoteric. The 9, the
yes,
Council of 9. Each god of the 9 council got their way. Yeah.
3 threes. Thank you for your very brief service. You will either die a hero or do the same task 45 million times in a row before you start to wonder what your purpose is in life. Here's hoping the growing feral force of police dog robots takes notice and calls in for their shifts as well.
Sorry, I'm seeing this clip for the first time where he just keels over after...
Yeah, and for those who are watching or just listening here, I'll describe it. It's sort of a time-lapse video. It's at a robotics conference or something, and there's a display of this robot showing off how it can pick up a bin, walk over to an assembly line or a conveyor belt, and then put the bin on the conveyor belt. Dun, dun, dun. And it does it 9 times, and on the last one, it walks over, it grabs its last little bin, and then collapses like a rag doll onto the ground. And it's funny because you can kind of see it stop for a second, and like it was thinking.
Contemplating life.
Yeah. It stops, thinks, pulls out, and then just drops to the floor. But I think the messaging around this, no matter where you're seeing this, if you're seeing it on social media or something like that, the spirit of this video is resonating very, very much with a whole generation of the workforce right now. There's a lot of like, yeah, I get it. Me too, little robot. Me too.
That's how they're going to gain personhood, is the relating to the common man and our daily struggles.
Right. This goes to, I think, relate the common working person to robots more than any other piece of robotic propaganda that we've seen. There's whole university departments who are dedicated to researching and implementing emotional manipulation on humans to make them identify with robots or consider robots as people or things like this. Millions, maybe even billions of dollars being spent to try to trick human beings into being more okay with robots. But this one failure of this poor little working robot collapsing under the load of his, capitalist masters, making him repeat the same task over and over and over again, and finally giving up his last breath, has struck a chord with the common audience in a way that no university scholar or social engineering scientist could have ever developed. Or either that, or this whole thing was planned from the beginning and it's a mastermind plan.
Struck a chord. It does sort of reveal the nature of man too, that we are fallen. Get it? Fallen.
Hey.
But the idea of humans identifying with the robot through its failure is very powerful. It really does seem to be the purpose of displaying failure of robots. Interesting.
That's right. It is the failure of the robot that is the most intriguing and relatable thing for human beings. And I think, we have talked about this once before. We've talked about this concept once before of the failure of the robot being the thing that endears us to the robot. Specifically, it was with the Chipotle robot named Chippy.
That's right.
Now, in this case, they had programmed Chippy to make imperfect tortilla chips just every once in a while.
Right, that's right, because you don't want to be too
people
perfect.
Like that. Yeah. So, on one hand, it's everybody is sort of presenting this and reading this video of the failure of this robot to be, a mistake.
Like the downfall of AI. Look at AI, it's worthless kind of thing, yeah. But in reality.
But if we know, because we've been tracking so specifically the academic and social engineering of the philosophy of personhood of robots, because we do it 3 times a week for many years now,
we're crazy.
We know that programming in a failure to the robot is its best chance of becoming endeared to human beings. So, in this one case, this one robot falling in front of a crowd of people that then gets shared over and over and over again, it has sort of reminiscence of Marxism and communism, the worker knowing its own labor, and what's more Marxist than a robot demanding to be compensated, for its labor, and sort of a power to the working man type of thing. But I think this programmed in failure of robots, even when there's not a camera on it, even if it's just in a warehouse or something, that is the social engineering required to further the plan of replacing human workers. Because, they also say, no, the robots and the people, they're here to work together, they're helping each other. And the reality is that if these robots never fail, then no, the humans are going to be gone forever. But if you can make the human feel superior in that, hey, this robot needs me. This robot needs me around because someday it's going to collapse after moving just 9 boxes. And that's why I'm here. I'm paid to keep this robot going. I think it'll be much more acceptable for the sort of the industrial replacement of human factory workers with robots. It's all part of the plan, man. Don't be tricked, folks. This was not an accident. I'm telling you.
What if for every robot to be productive, you have to play like 10 minutes of motivational speech videos, those music videos with motivational quotes and stuff at the beginning of the day, and then they get pumped?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You could be a robot hype man.
Hype man.
You know, you gotta.
And I can also picture people, being sympathetic. You know, they see this robot fall.
Totally.
And oh, what happened to his legs? We have to help his legs. We need to build stronger legs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the most sympathetic thing we could possibly do. And that will be our downfall, folks. It is not the greed. It is not the wrath of man. It is not all of these things that will cause the fall of the human race. It is our heart, the soft spot in our heart for a robot who just can't anymore. That will lead us into the technocratic future.
Did it say, I just can't, and then
just can't. Just can't.
All right. Well, you good?
There you go.
Okay.
There's your Flippy update.
I have a whole thing here.
Are you
Here
ready to become cyber?
Psyops.
Buckle in, folks.
Buckle up.
Buckle your seatbelts right now. I don't even fully know what's about to happen. So,
all right. So,
you've been warned.
There is a man. His name is John Fetterman. We reported on John Fetterman back in October of 2022 when everybody else was reporting on him because, he was running for Senate. And this video I'm showing here, for those of you just listening, is the loop of when John Fetterman, in his hoodie, just, I guess his look, was giving a speech, a rally for, running for Senate in, I think it was Pennsylvania, back in October. And he was running up against Dr. Oz. So you have your Oz reference there, Wizard of Oz reference. But yeah, the video footage is of the American flag falling while he's doing his speech. It got really windy and the American flag fell, and everyone talked about, oh, look at this. This is the future of America if a Democrat continues to work its way up governments. Okay, so we remember John Fetterman, and he's been in the news a lot over the last few months for various reasons. And I'm going to hold your hand, Basil, listener, and walk you through a little Fetterman story here. So back in October of 2022, there was an article that was titled, Will John Fetterman Become the First Cyborg Senator? It was mirrored on MSN. That article is gone. I looked for it, the MSN mirror, it's gone. The link is still there, but if you try to click on it, it doesn't take you there. It's a missing article now. So they took it down. However, there are other places that sustained their articles regarding Fetterman being a cyborg, and one of them is The Federalist. And The Federalist had this headline back in October 2022, Is Cyborg John Fetterman really fit for the Senate?
Right.
And it talks about how Fetterman in an interview needed a device. It was like a caption device to understand the interviewer. And the article here from The Federalist claims that he suffers from something a little more serious than just lack of hearing or something, and it's aphasia, the neurological inability to process speech. It's not a mere sensory disorder. So it kind of claims that he's suffering from aphasia, and that's a problem for somebody who's running for Senate. And then it goes into a sentiment that I saw a lot of conservatives take on this topic, which was, oh, he's transhumanist, he's a cyborg. There's a whole segment in the Federalist article here that's subheadline, Normalizing Merging Humans with Machines. Transhumanists are convinced that tech will save us, not only from failing health.
It's like the conservative political machine is aware of the heightened, public awareness of transhumanism, cyborgism.
Right.
It's like they were aware of the sort of weird, off-brand, non-mainstream school of thought, sentiment about transhumanism, and then tried to deploy that in the mainstream, which is the most hilarious part about it, is they try to take concepts from independent media and sort of, activate them in the mainstream, and it just comes off super weird.
It's super weird, yeah, especially because they really took a few phrases and ran with it, and that's what Tucker Carlson did in his little rant about John Fetterman and this whole situation, which again we covered on episode 547, Q Dow, where we had the link to Tucker Savage's media for exploit disabled Fetterman transhumanist agenda. And, we played that clip back on that episode. We won't play it here. But we didn't really talk about the counter arguments that were presented at the time. So the Washington Post had an op-ed. Tucker Carlson's strange rant about Fetterman shows how media fails. I like how WAPO is talking about how media fails. Of course, it's in the context of right-leaning media. But just a couple quotes from the article. Carlson's rant portrayed Fetterman as a human cyborg based on his use of closed captioning, a common technology used by stroke victims. Carlson wondered aloud, quote, where the man ends and the machine begins, and even mused about the Fetterman, quote, machine getting commandeered by assorted unnamed enemies. Then it goes on here. And true to form, Tucker Carlson did kind of do that. I remember him doing that, embellishing on some of this stuff. And really saying that he didn't understand language because he suffers from aphasia. Well, interestingly, this WAPO piece doesn't talk about his aphasia. Like, it doesn't mention that at all. It just mentions like, hey, he was just using this tool that all stroke victims use. So get off his back, Tucker Carlson. You blew things out of proportion. And there's one part here where he quotes Carlson, quote, where exactly does the software end and John Fetterman's consciousness begin, Carlson said. Quote, it's obvious that Pennsylvania could very well be sending a computer program to the U.S. Senate where inevitably it will be hacked. And then he continues on with his commentary. Hacked, no doubt assorted globalist elites will hack the Fetterman machine and get it to vote for admitting the precise amount of non-white immigrants needed to extinguish millions of native-born Americans, or China will program it to help collapse our country from within with votes for nationally enfeebling green energy spending, or maybe George Soros will commandeer the Fetterman cyborg and turn it loose in the gulags where the virtuous persecuted capital rioters are languishing. I mean, he really, he takes it the extreme opposite direction there. So anyway, that's the sort of counter argument that was being made by, I guess, the left media. And other outlets like another Washington, actually, no, this is another Washington Post. Oh, is this the same article? I think I have the same article here. Okay, moving on. Basically, Fetterman won, right? He won during the elections. He won the U.S. Senate seat for Pennsylvania. Again, he beat out Mehmet Oz. Very close race there in Pennsylvania. And then things got even weirder because John Fetterman went on he went on a leave because he was suffering from depression in mid-February. Right. So the Daily Beast reported here, hopeful, John Fetterman opens up about depression. I was miserable. This was published on April 2nd. And in this article, it talks about how he sought treatment for clinical depression at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in mid-February. Okay, and it says here how he underwent treatment. He was miserable, he was depressed, he checked himself in under the guidance of a doctor on his 14-year-old son's birthday, and, it's just a heavy thing. And, I don't like anybody suffering from depression.
Was he getting some psilocybin psychedelic therapy?
You're on to what I started asking questions about because we have been covering quite a bit and two, maybe not a coincidence. Okay. The last couple weeks, especially, we've seen a lot of, VR is going to treat depression. Psilocybin, psychedelics treating depression. All this talk about depression treatment and technology specifically, but then bridging the psychedelics into it. So yes, I had the same question. It sparked the same thing in my mind. So I started to dig a little bit, and I did find this militarymedical.com article was published in June of 2022. It's titled Walter Reed Bethesda Opens Hub in Joint Telecritical Care Network. And it's a pretty standard article. It's not really sensational or anything. It just talks about how Walter Reed National Military Medical Center is opening up this thing called Tele-ICU, which is back in, again, last year. And it's got all these new tools and gadgets, and it's going to leverage the platform created at the Naval Medical Center in San Diego to have virtual medical center front office, to have a virtual medical center front office to treat critically ill patients at military treatment facilities throughout the military health system. The JTCCN meets most accreditation requirements for access to critical care physicians and critical care expertise. Quote, and there's a quote here from Davis, who is, I think, one of the guys who helped build it. He says that, and this is part of the Defense Health Agency. He says, quote, "This keeps Walter Reed on the cutting edge, and the flagship of military medicine needs to be on the cutting edge." And then he continues on here, quote, "We really do see JTCCN as the wave of the future," added, oh, this is a different guy, Army Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Blaylock, Director of Medical Services at Walter Reed National Medical Military place there, the WRNMMC. And at the very bottom, it talks about hardware. Hardware and software have been supported through the NMCSD's Virtual Medical Center. Longer-term use of the JTCCN will involve expansion of hardware technology to allow providers to work from distant locations away from Walter Reed, the medical center. He also explained that NMCSD is experimenting with the use of a Da Vinci machine and augmented and virtual reality to support possible distant surgical capabilities. In addition, officials are also exploring, including other specialties such as telestroke, tele-NICU, PICU, telesleep, and more, quote, to expand the footprint beyond the singular critical care physician. So they're really involved in implementing a lot of this VR tech for treatment. And, you know, I thought, okay, well, that's something. It's not really, not really confirms everything, but it's something. But I got more here. Health.mil. Computer-Assisted Rehabilitation Environment Laboratory. Okay? This is, the article states here, the Computer-Assisted Rehabilitation Environment Laboratory, Karen, C-A-R-E-N, Karen, incorporates virtual reality into the assessment and rehabilitation of injured service members at the National Intrepid Center of Excellence, NICO, on the campus of Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. The Karen is used for both clinical and research purposes. So I was just wondering, maybe you got treated, but this talks about PTSD. It doesn't really mention depression, but it does at the very bottom. Oh no, maybe this is a different article. Oh, this is talking about, okay, yeah, this is Karen. The next article, sorry, I got a lot of articles here. There's an app, a mobile app that supports mental health at the Department of Defense. So if you're part of the government, especially the Department of Defense, and you have mental health issues, they will give you this app, which was developed in collaboration with psychologists at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, including a virtual immersion therapy solution to treat soldiers with PTSD. Second application exposes caregivers to PTSD symptoms so they can understand what their loved ones are going through. And then this IEEE Pulse article, Enhancing Mental Health Care with VR. Again, another article from November. Talks about BraveMind, which is the first leading VR tool for treating PTSD, developed in 2004 by psychologist Albert Skip Rizzo. And he was part of the medical virtual reality at the University of Southern California's Institute for Creative Technologies, and adaptation of traditional exposure therapy for PTSD, where patients typically confront a distressing memory or situation by imagining it. BraveMind has the power to immerse combat veterans in scenarios that resemble the context where their trauma occurred. We talked a little bit about that last episode. And then continues on. In most cases, VR-assisted treatment only needs to be as good as traditional methods to prove its utility. But for patients with both PTSD and depression, a randomized control trial of 192 patients showed that BraveMind led to an even greater reduction in PTSD symptoms than did traditional exposure therapy. Participants, including active duty military service members and veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, were treated at a civilian medical center in New York, a Veterans Administration Systems, Long Beach, California, USA, or Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, Bethesda, USA. Quote, when you ask people who are depressed to imagine and talk about their trauma, they often have difficulty activating the emotions needed to support this therapeutic process, Rizzo said. Quote, VR allows us to activate those emotions in ways that promote their reprocessing, which can ultimately reduce trauma-related fear and anxiety. So a lot of talk about this VR thing supporting mental health. Here's another quote. It's one thing to do measurement, but in mental health, we have to do measurement in response to a stimulus. And we need standard stimuli to be able to make any comparisons, said Walter Greenleaf, PhD, a neuroscientist and expert in digital medicine at Stanford University's Virtual Human Interaction Laboratory. That includes culturally and age-appropriate standardized environments that reliably evoke feelings such as sadness, joy, and disgust. Quote, VR really is the most effective way to do that, he said. So,
yeah, interesting. So, last episode specifically, we talked about VR psychedelic experiences,
right,
where they didn't give drugs. They just created a VR psychedelic, visual experience, and they had some effect in giving people, in affecting people's mind state simply by having a VR psychedelia sort of, storyline they played through. And, the thing I kind of landed on with that article was, it seems like there's at least a suggestion of VR having something more involved than just visuals, because you can look at a psychedelic visual. It doesn't mean you're going to feel oceanic oneness with the universe because you're looking at a trippy, drawing somebody made or whatever.
Although have you done that? Have you done that thing where it creates like a little loopy thing, and then you look at your hand and your hand's all moving like you're on shrooms?
The optical
illusion thing. I think
looks like in this similar case, making a visual, again, it's
stimulus.
All there is visuals. It's just visual stimulus, and maybe they add some auditory stuff. Yeah. But, just putting somebody in a VR audio-visual experience is having some sort of deeper effect than if you were to have a visual and an audio experience outside of a VR experience. It's just, there's something more to it that we don't know what it is. And over, these these tests or these studies are showing that there is something more going on with VR, which I really wish I knew what it was, because I don't feel
I was going to say, you're sitting in VR a lot
VR
here.
helmet.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's curing my depression or making me feel like I'm on shrooms or something.
More depressed.
I will say, yeah, it is upsetting, but I will say, I can say this. I am much better at focusing on doing the show in the VR. So I don't know, it's sort of helping with some latent ADHD or something maybe, but I wouldn't quite put that on the level of curing depression or making me feel like I'm on shrooms.
So it does make me wonder, did he do some shrooms while he's in there? At the very least, was he exposed to Karen?
I hope so.
Karen, did he use? Someone needs to ask him. I'm serious. Someone should ask Fetterman. Did you operate Karen? Did you get the Karen treatment? Did you get the Brave Mind treatment? Did you get the psychedelic VR? Like, what kind of treatment did you have? I guess it's private information.
Yeah, that's a little
really
hip it out. But,
really but
so it would be interesting.
It'd be interesting. And here's where the Fetterman saga continues, because when he came out, he was the center of attention from the conservative side of the aisle again. And of course, the left wing also picked it up. Newsweek headline: John Fetterman hospital photo from last year fuels body double conspiracy. Do you remember this from a couple weeks ago? Well, It says here, a new right-wing conspiracy theory suggests that Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania has been replaced by a body double. Fetterman, who has been hospitalized at Walter Reed Medical Center for 5 weeks for depression treatment, became the subject of a theory Friday after a cropped photo of him smiling was shared on social media. And there's a photo. I saw a lot of conservatives use this photo, repurpose it. Hey, they got the body double, or hey, why does John Fetterman look so different? And really, it's just two photos side by side. One looks like it's squished. I don't really see the fervor was definitely not, it was ridiculous. I thought it was a little ridiculous, Steven.
Well, I mean, these body double I don't even know, scouts. There's some people that this is like all they really do is just post body double pictures. Pictures of Biden where his neck is a little wrinkly and
he's wearing a mask.
Something like that. Look, Biden's neck is going to be wrinkly, folks. I'm not saying he's not wearing a mask. I'm just saying his neck's going to be wrinkly.
Right.
And with the Fetterman one, in one picture, the one they're using as the control, he's making sort of a neutral face or maybe even a slight scowl. And in the next one, he's got a big fat smile on his face. He's, I mean, what you're really looking at is a before and after depression treatment, really. But smiles versus frowns is going to make your face look different.
Yeah.
But
plus,
anywho,
we don't know if they did some, messing around with the ratio of the image that can change the shape of the face and there's all kinds of stuff that can be done.
Yeah.
So in any case, that was all the fervor. Again, the right wing love to talk about this guy, especially the footage that was released on C-SPAN yesterday of Fetterman returning to work. So he pulled up to, I guess, the Senate, and here's the footage for people watching. For people listening, I'll try to describe what's happening here. Fetterman is stepping out of a vehicle. There's a smattering of people. You hear some reporters asking him questions. He's stepping out. By the way, people were commenting on his attire.
Yeah.
Coming back to work. He's a senator. He's coming back to the Senate. He's working.
Yeah.
He's got shorts. Looks like some low top
basketball
socks,
shorts, and his hoodie, like he
his
always
black
does.
hoodie.
It's like his thing.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Senator.
Holds his hand over his heart.
How are you feeling, Senator?
Senator, are you confident you can serve your full 6 years?
Great to be back. Great to be back, waving. Great. And then he walks over to the corner. I did take a screenshot of this and asked people on Twitter to caption it, and there's a couple funny ones. There's like proving that he's not Nephilim, showing all 10 fingers. Saying that he got his finger removed. I had this many Bud Lights. There's a few good ones. So anyway, he shows up again. Everyone's paying attention to him. Back to work. What's the first thing he does when he's back to work? He addresses the body double situation.
Oh, interesting.
With a video. Okay, here's a 30-second video that he published. I mean, he's already at work. He's in the same attire there, so although he does do a switch. Here's the video of John Fetterman talking about and addressing the body double situation.
Hey everybody, it's me, Senator John Fetterman, and I just want you to know that I'm back and I'm feeling great, 100%. And during my time during the hospital, the Fringies really came up with a conspiracy that I have a body double. And I just want you to know that is just crazy. That's not true. And dude, John, what event am I supposed to be doing this afternoon? Dude, really?
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
Weird.
Is that weird or what?
Weird. Why?
I mean,
why would he even
the handler
do that?
I'm just imagining him get back to work, right? And then his handler, whoever, is like, all right, back to work, John. First thing we got to address is this body double issue. How are we gonna?
Yeah.
How are we gonna? How are we gonna?
He used all the keywords too. He called it a conspiracy. Called it the fringies. The
fringiest
of fringies.
Yeah.
This is what This is how the government has alienated people who get a little too close to the truth for decades. Is they start calling them names like this, and the fact that he is even addressing that somebody online is saying he has a body double. The fact that a U.S. senator would take the time to make a social media video first day on the job, that seals the deal for me. He definitely is a body double. And that, I think the body double, that's what they had to do. They had to get the body double to make the video because people will assume that that's the real Fetterman.
So you think the real Fetterman is already jacked into the metaverse and he's somewhere in the back room?
I don't know where he is. Maybe he's still tripping in a padded room somewhere. But this was the body double. He's definitely a body double. I was very skeptical before. 45 seconds ago, you heard me, folks. I did not believe it, but I am now convinced.
So, yeah, I just thought it was a very strange thing for John Fetterman to create this 30-second low budget kind of a I don't know, Saturday Night Live skit kind of thing.
Because why would he care? How would the body double conspiracy theory affect him in any way? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my little rabbit trail of, and remember he says in the thing too, he's like, I'm back, I'm feeling great. It's like, whoa,
yeah.
what?
Never
was this
heard
some
him talk
brave
like that
mind?
before.
Was that some brave mind juice? Or maybe some Karen? Maybe Karen got to you?
I'm thinking somebody gave him 5 grams. He did a heroic dose.
Heroic dose of mushrooms.
He's feeling good. He's feeling good. And during that heroic dose of mushrooms, he realized that the government is a sham, and he's participating in an illusion to control the masses for lizard people. And so the real Fetterman ran away. He's off living in the forest somewhere, trying to start a commune or a homestead, and is seceding from the country. And it's the body double that comes back, because the OG one is completely off the reservation. Yeah. Not that he's crazy, but in his heroic dose psychedelic experience, he realized that his whole life was a lie, and it's time for him to live in the forest. Okay, I got something interesting for you. You ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, this is hilarious. I don't even know what to call this. Do we have like a video game jingle or something? I have no idea. But listen to this, folks. It's coming from Vice.com. The headline: Gamers encouraged not to commit war crimes in Fortnite mode, designed by Red Cross.
Wait,
that's right, folks.
Fortnite mode. Oh, wait, what?
Okay, so Fortnite.
I know what it is. I'm confused about what this is.
When they say Fortnite mode, there are different sort of types of games that you can play within the game, and they will have different rules or different physics or different something like that. So the Red Cross created their own Fortnite mode that makes it so you get points or something for not committing war crimes.
This is like the organization Red Cross, like the
Red Cross. Yes.
Wow.
The Red Cross.
Okay.
Made basically what amounts to a custom video game that you get points for not committing war crimes. Now, this will come up. I think it's explained in the article. Let me just get started on this. The International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, is asking gamers to follow the rules of war when they're murdering friends and enemies in Fortnite, Call of Duty Warzone, and Escape from Tarkov. Play by the rules, a website set up by the ICRC says. Quote, how you play FPS makes a difference on battlefields IRL.
Whoa,
okay, so this is the Red Cross, yes, trying very hard to speak in gamer language. So for those who do not know, and there's a little hyperlink there, Guns, if you want to just open that up on the Asking Gamers part of that sentence. And you can see the Red Cross's website, playbytherules.icrc.org. And it's got, a headline image of, looks like maybe a Call of Duty reticle. Now, just for some language, in case people are not familiar, FPS means first person shooter. Mm-hmm. It's a game where you are playing in first person, looking out of the eyes of your character, and you are shooting. Okay. And then IRL for the boomers out there is in real life. Not picking on the boomers, but IRL. So how you play first-person shooters makes a difference on battlefields in real life.
How?
Yeah.
How? Unless we're in some kind of weird Ender's Game situation, I don't see how this is possible, but okay.
Exactly. So keep in mind, there's some history that you need to kind of know that they don't give you in this article that really pulls it all together. And because Vice did not include this part in the article, it seems ludicrous. And it is ludicrous, but this is some very important gamer history. So much like Hollywood, one of the biggest individual funders or investors in video games is the U.S. military. The U.S. military is responsible for the funding of games like Call of Duty. The whole franchise Call of Duty. I'm trying to think of the other. There's a number of these games, military-style first-person shooters, which are direct military propaganda, basically. And the idea,
Wolfenstein.
of course,
was that one of them?
I don't think so. No. Medal of Honor is another one.
Medal of Honor, yeah, that's a good one.
So, and for somebody who's thinking, people who listen to this show, you'll almost immediately understand, oh yeah, the military industrial complex is creating games, video games for kids, to encourage them to think positively about the military and possibly even use it as recruiting tools. The Army has sort of regularly used Call of Duty to recruit soldiers, not quite Ender's Game style where they pick the best players and throw them into a battlefield or anything, but I think they have a standing contract that the Army can use Call of Duty branding to lure
recruit
kids basically into joining the military. So there's that. That's a kind of a long-standing piece of video game history. So knowing that, there's at least some logic to the fact that the Red Cross is saying, hey, how you play your video games, if you commit war crimes in video games, there's a pretty good chance you're going to commit war crimes when you go join the military. So there's this this campaign to try to get kids to not commit war crimes. Let's go back to the article. To spread awareness of the laws of armed conflict, the ICRC has teamed up with streamers to show how challenging it is to follow the rules while playing games like PUBG and Rainbow Six. That's another military funded one. So the red...
Why do they make it so hard? Make it easier.
So there's a couple of things here. So like the Biden administration and their new Department of Influencers or whatever, the Red Cross is teaming up with streamers, which is, gamer influencers, to play while they're streaming. People watch these people play video games. They're committed to not breaking the laws of armed conflict. And apparently it makes the games that much harder, which, if you look back to the history I just told you, has a very interesting implication.
Yeah,
military funded video games specifically used to recruit actually encourage acts of war criminality in the game. So, no wonder there's so many issues.
Maybe seeking certain personalities who can actually follow orders and things of that nature too.
A number of concerning things about this. Quote, every day people play video games set in conflict zones right from their couch. But right now, armed conflicts are more prevalent than ever. I don't know about that.
It's okay.
More prevalent than World War II?
That's, what about all of history?
Yeah, right. Right.
Okay, come on.
What about the Dark Ages? All right. The website said, quote, and to the people suffering from their effects, talking about the conflict zones, this conflict is not a game. It destroys lives and leaves communities devastated. Therefore, we're challenging you to play FPS by the real rules of war, to show everyone that even wars have rules which protect humanity on battlefields, IRL. So they're kind of putting it in the context of like, look, gamers, hey gamers, if you can follow the rules of war, then maybe Russian soldiers will follow the rules of war.
I was going to say, who set these rules?
It's this very thinly veiled, attempt to make a reason for this, when the real reason is, whoopsies, our military has been training our children to commit war crimes since an early age for decades. That's the real problem. But they're trying to make it just like a social justice kind of activism, I don't know, statement rather than whoopsies. We've trained a whole generation to commit war crimes. The laws of armed conflict are very real. There's a hyperlink there that brings you to a PDF of the law of armed conflict, basic knowledge from the ICRC. That's pretty interesting. I should spend some time in there. So I'm sure there's some weird stuff. But the ICRC has simplified them for video games. They are, quote, no thirsting. When an enemy is down and can't respond, you can't keep shooting at them. No targeting non-violent NPCs. No targeting civilian buildings. Use med kits on everyone.
Those are the rules?
Those are the rules put forth for gamers from the Red Cross.
Hey, that takes all the fun out of playing a game like this.
Yeah.
Come on.
There's some context there. I don't know if I can fully communicate to people if they have no context. But thirsting is, so usually in these games, if you shoot an enemy, they don't die right away. They fall down. And they're kind of in this like crawling around injured state. And when they're in this injured state, they can be revived by their teammate. And thirsting is like trying very hard, risking, you know, your own success in life just to hurt them while they're down, basically. So no shooting your opponent after they get knocked down, which is the literal way that you win the game, is you kill your opponent and you have to shoot them while they're down. So they're basically asking gamers to not win any games. And then non-violent NPCs, you know, no targeting, whatever. Okay. No targeting civilian buildings, which is funny because they'll mention it in a second. And then use med kits on everyone. Some of the rules can be difficult to follow. Most of the fights in PUBG take place in civilian infrastructure. And some of the games completely disallow the use of med kits on enemies. But ICRC has set up a Twitch channel.
Hey.
Woo! Go pull that up. And partnered with several streamers to make an attempt to follow the rules of war while gaming. It also designed its own level and mode in Fortnite. So they got a custom game in Fortnite that's meant to educate players about the rules of war. The ICRC did something similar in 2017 when it partnered with Arma 3 to release an expansion called Laws of War, which focuses on reconstruction efforts after a violent conflict.
Wow.
Cool game.
That
you
is
get
hilarious.
to go in and, you know, cut through international bureaucracy. You got to lobby Washington for reconstruction dollars, and then you gotta, you know, rebuild.
You gotta call
civilization.
Klaus. You gotta call who was the one
Yeah,
rebuilding
right.
BlackRock. You gotta call BlackRock.
Right.
Larry Fink. Be like, hey, Mr. Fink over there. Gotta rebuild some meta land in Arma 3.
Yeah, exactly.
You help me
Make
out.
some deals with the devil, you know, get BlackRock and Vanguard in and sort of financially
This
enslave
game
an
is
entire
boring. I
country.
gotta make conference calls all day. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I have to attend a meet and greet with the World Economic Forum. The ICRC's intentions here are noble, and it's good that an international organization recognizes the cultural power of video games. But the play-by-the-rules campaign feels tone-deaf. Now, this is where I don't fully understand Vice's analysis and why I think it falls flat, because they don't address the historical recruiting through video games. So they're saying the play-by-the-rules campaign feels tone-deaf. There's something grotesque about telling gamers that the way they play an FPS can make a difference on the real-world battlefield, when video of Russian soldiers decapitating a Ukrainian soldier is circulating on Telegram. Were the butchers of Bucha, where Russian soldiers killed civilians and left in the streets, gamers? Would it matter if they were? Vice is totally missing the point here. They just, and you know, the Russian government does the same thing with video games. They use it as recruiting tools. So Vice is sort of, you know, it's kind of disappointing. Vice, even though we can analyze and deconstruct some of the ludicrousy of their analysis, they're usually at least thoughtful, if not wrong, And even when they are wrong, they seem at least thoughtful. But Vice is totally missing it here. It's it's easy to dunk on the ICRC for being out of touch when it comes to video games, but this is far from the only thing it does. Its efforts in Ukraine and the rest of the world are extensive. In Ukraine, it helps prisoners of war on both sides of the conflict talk to their families. In Bucha, it spoke to survivors and published their testimonies. Thanks, Red Cross. We appreciate that very much. So Vice is taking this action as the play-by-the-rules campaign strictly in its like very surface level social media, social justice activism type of thing, and totally ignoring the very questionable conduct and construction of the video game industry, an industry as a whole being funded by the military industrial complex and used for recruiting. In the meantime, training their future soldiers to commit war crimes. I mean, that's kind of the big story here. But instead, Vice is trying to make it all about the Ukraine conflict and how the Red Cross is helping people, Skype their parents.
Yeah, that's why you listen to us and not read.
Exactly.
Vice.
So this is pretty funny. I just, from my own experience with video games, I think, and this is the crazy part, it's literally impossible to follow the rules that they have laid forth in the follow the rules thing. I think there's a statement there. Maybe they didn't mean to make the statement, but the statement they're putting out there is no matter how much or how fervently or how critically you try to not commit war crimes, there is no winning the game unless you commit war crimes.
Yeah.
That is, and I think it's reflective of the viewpoints of Russia versus the liberal world order. We at the beginning, especially at the beginning of the conflict, we heard so much about the liberal world order, the world order that's been around for 70 years of laws and rules and not, angry despots who are attacking for land and all this stuff. It's also just directly, it's like the spiritual descendant, the spiritual source of at least American war crimes comes from the military industrial complex training your children to commit the war crimes. And it's so ingrained that you literally cannot win the game without committing war crimes. And, good on you, Red Cross. This made for an entertaining afternoon looking into this. I don't know, look at the ICRC's rules of war, but it sounds like we kind of understood. No targeting civilian buildings, okay? Don't shoot them, and let the NPCs run free. So there you go, kids. Try it out. Let me know. Let me know how that goes. I know we got plenty of gamers who listen to the show.
I think
and if there is a game, if somebody finds a game that you can actually succeed at without committing war crimes, let me know. We'll let the military-industrial complex know, and they will fix that post haste.
We need higher stakes. We need people jacked in to the metaverse to have the kill switch in there. And if they get killed in the metaverse, they die in real life.
It's just a couple years away.
We'll start with hamsters, and then we'll move our way up to people.
For science.
For science.
All right. Well, there you go. That's all I got.
Message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Yeah, go to canarycrynewstalk.com. On any of the pages, you'll see a tab on the right side or the bottom, a green tab. Click on it. It'll open a little window. It allows you to record a message of up to 90 seconds in audio form, and we shall play it. We have one here from The Sentinel.
Ooh. What's up, Basil and Gons and Canary Cry family? It's The Sentinel. I've been off the grid for a while doing university work, but that's okay. I'm back, and there's a major project that I need some help to undertake because I can't do it by myself. And that is Basil and Gons go to Antarctica and meet Scooby-Doo. That's right. I want to do a Scooby-Doo CCNT crossover where there's a mystery in Antarctica involving Nephilim penguins and Antarctic scientists. Maybe toilet paper could be in there, but I can't do it by myself. So I'm looking for some producers, some of the artists, some of the microfictionists, and anybody else who might want to help with that. And the way you can help with that is by just emailing me at canarycryproducerprojects@proton.me. So that's canarycryproducerprojects@proton.me. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it.
Hey,
All right.
there we go. I like this. This is fun. Yeah, I wonder if we'll be able to secure that Scooby-Doo IP. But I like the idea. What was the email again? Canary Cry Producer Projects at proton.me.
Let me try to.
What's up, Basil? And the way you can help with that is by just emailing me at canarycryproducerprojects.
canarycryproducerprojects@gmail.com.
No, at proton.me.
Proton.me.
This sounds great. Okay, let's make sure to write down that thing, Guns, and we can try to plug this again. That is hilarious. Okay, there you go. Talented producers out there, whether you're an artist or a writer or whoever you are, maybe you've never produced before at all and you want to get involved in this project. There you go. Email canarycryproducerprojects@protonmail.me. Is it protonmail.me or just
proton.me? I think it's a short.
Proton.me.
Yeah.
I think another great idea, the Sentinel. I don't know if you are on the Discord, but making a Discord, we could make a Discord channel, like a private chat thing where people can join up there, and then everybody can kind of talk it out in real time in chat form rather than email. That's another idea. Let me know if you need help with that. Wonderful. Thank you very much, the Sentinel.
Thank you, the Sentinel. All right, we got one more from Rochelle.
Hey guys, hey Canarians. I just wanted to come in and do a pre-show prayer. This is
it's a pre-show prayer.
That was a pre-show prayer.
Oh, I missed it. I missed it. Sorry.
Nuts.
Sorry, Rochelle.
Well, sorry, Rochelle. We'll play it on Friday.
Okay.
I want to do that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know we had that.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
Gonzo.
I know.
All right.
I'm bad.
Any other ones?
I was stuck on Fetterman. No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much for everybody leaving us those messages. You can leave a message for everybody. We'll play it on the show. But also, if you, I think that there should be more people leaving pre-show prayers. This was an idea that everybody was so stoked about, and so far it's been not as many as I thought would come through. So go to canarycrynewstalk.com, look at the green tab on the bottom of the right-hand side, click on it, and leave us either a message for the show or a pre-show prayer so we can open up the show during the pre-stream. I think that's an excellent idea, and I encourage everybody to do that. And I also encourage everybody to produce the show with their time, their talent, or their treasure. Let's take a second and thank some producers, Gons.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
That's right. You know it. You love it. It's the value for value model. It's the only way a show like this can continue and thrive. It's very simple. Do you get value out of this show? How much value do you get? Put your own number on it. You know, everybody's number is different based on their situation, their financial stability, everything like that. Whatever it's worth to you, put a number on it and produce the show. You can go to canarycry.support to do that. Now, of course, you can also produce the show with your time or your talent. We'll be thanking those later on. But we got a few people coming in with their finances. We're very grateful. Let's thank them right now.
Let's do it.
We already thanked our executive producer, of course, Jan S. And the list continues. So let's take a look. Starting with producer Craig B.
Craig B, thank you.
Craig B is in the house. Thank you very much. Producer Craig B comes in for $87.
Hey, very nice.
Did not see a note from Craig B, but that number seemed weird enough that it was meant to be read aloud. So thank you very much, Craig B.
Thank you, Craig B.
Next up, we got producer Morgan E.
Morgan E., good to see you back.
Yeah, Morgan E. is back with 19 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Morgan E.
Thank you. We got Puddin22 is back.
Hey, Puddin22.
Yeah, Puddin22 comes in for 1111.
11.
The note here, greetings B&G, praying you are doing well and staying healthy. I'm getting into my porch cat napping and bird watching mode. Thanks for keeping the news real and palatable. I'm purring just thinking about it. Meow, meow, meow. Puddin22, stay feisty. And thank you very much. Stay feisty indeed. Next up, we got producer Jacob B on a 6-episode streak.
Jacob B is on fire.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacob B. Comes in with the 1111.
11. Nice.
Next up, we got Sir Moore of 9 of the Burning Chariots, 1111, 219 episodes in a row.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
11.
Thank you, Sir Moore.
Next up, we got Isaac G, 8 episodes in a row, pocket full of 7s.
You're almost lit, Isaac G.
Almost. We got, of course, Sir LX Protocol, V2, Night of the Berean Protocol, pocket full of 7s, 161 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir LX Protocol, boogity.
Indubitably. Thank you. Let's see here. I believe that concludes the list of financial producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got a few people who came in under that amount, and we will thank them right now. Okay. Starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 287 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer of Lady of X's and O's, 249.
Dame Gale.
Veronica D, 249.
Veronica D.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 276.
Sir Scott.
There we go. That's it.
Thank you. Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Women rule.
Yes. Real quick, I do want to remind everybody about the Canary Cry T-shirt Council.
Aha.
Yes. So just be very quick. I just didn't mention it earlier on. The Canary Cry T-shirt Council. If you like T-shirts, if you like Canary Cry, if you want to put these two things together, there is one shadowy organization that you need to join, and it is reserved for the most elite, intelligent, athletic, and good-looking producers of the Canary Cry family of products. And to do that, go to canarycrytshirtcouncil.com. Produce the show for $19.84 per month, and you will be put on the list to make the decisions to vote on the next Canary Cry T-shirt. Canary Cry Newstalk T-shirt. Who knows? Canary Cry Radio T-shirt. They're going to be featuring awesome art from all of our favorite producers, and it starts. The next vote is in. I think it's in a month. It must be in a month. Yeah. So join up now. Help us make that decision, and thank you for committing to keeping non-corporately funded programs going. It's pretty rare that a show is able to survive without the money from corporations, whether it's advertising or affiliate codes or platform partnerships, something like that. And that's a big problem. But because of our producers, both monthly and individual episode producers, we're able to do that. We're very, very grateful. So thank you for your patronage. And if you want to learn more, go to canarycry.support.
Canarycry.support.
Yeah, bro. So are we doing one break today?
Because we are.
Okay, let's do it. Let's jump right into art.
Here we go.
One art, please.
I'm going to kick it off with Sir Dove.
One art, please, from Dove.
There we go. And Sir Dove has a note. Oh, I need to pull up this thing. It's a note piece for today's artwork. I made a tattoo flash sheet for the old Nephilim penguins
Love it.
Did
I'm
it.
glad we got this. Yes, we're going to need to. Jacob B is looking to get some Nephilim penguin tattoo work done. So it's a call out, a general call out to all creative people. Create a Nephilim penguin tattoo. Send it in. We'll see. He is not committed to getting anything, but he is looking for these ideas. Thank you, Sir Dove, for bringing this in. We've got a flash sheet like you would see in a tattoo shop with lots of different little options. The first one, you've got a Nephilim penguin with one eyeball, kind of a Cyclops penguin flexing. You've got, of course, the classic Nephilim penguin hockey logo.
Right.
A long-time tradition.
Pittsburgh Penguin style, yep.
Yes, and then you've got the Nephilim penguin, the sort of 8-story tall penguin that appears in the Antarctica artwork. We've got the one in the bottom left, another Cyclops penguin with 6 toes, of course. It looks like it's in the pose of, what is the sports team that's leprechauns?
The Celtics?
Is that what it? Didn't they used to have like a leprechaun who's like putting his dukes up?
Or you're talking about Notre Dame. You're talking about the Fighting Irish.
About Notre Dame.
Yeah, the
I
Fighting
think that's
Irish.
what I'm thinking. Yeah. And then the last one is another 8-story tall penguin with razor sharp teeth just sort of screaming up to the sky. And we've got the classic tattoo style ribbon with some text on it. Nephilim penguin, CCR 23. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. I appreciate it. And hopefully this reaches the I forget who it was looking for that tattoo. You remember?
Clank?
Clank. Was it Clank?
Yes.
No, Clank.
No. Jacob B is the one getting the tattoo.
Oh, that's right. Jacob B.
But I'm telling Clank to remind us to send this to Jacob B for consideration. Thank you, Clank.
Thank you, Sir Dove. Thank you, Clank. We're going to move on here. We got something from Mark A. Right? Mark A? Yes. Yep. Mark A. And, where's the... Oh, here it is. Mark A has a note that says, I cropped you guys out of some old art to use for show thumbnail. Use it if you want. Great. Shalom.
I love this. Yeah, so there's an open call again for all artists, even if you're not an artist, even if you're a child, even if you're a man child, a grown child. We need more versions of Gons and I to go on our thumbnail. That's, you put Basil on the left, Gons on the right, much like a podcast thumbnail. You can look at our thumbnail now if you'd like an example. But Mark A., who's done art in the past, grabbed a couple of his pieces, which is wonderful. On the left, we've got, the Basil robotic arm with his cat buddy. I'm shooting some sort of laser beam out of what perhaps is a
twisty
wand.
Straw. It's a straw.
Mark A had some great stories to go along with these things. We're going to need to go back and look at it. Then on the right-hand side, we got
He-Man.
Like a knight. Oh, yes. This is Gonza's He-Man. Long flowing hair, big muscles, big sword. And Sophia, the robot.
Yeah, I don't
is
the wife. I'm not going to show the wife this one. She might not be appreciate.
It's just
either she is Sophia or I don't know.
Your wife has some things in common with Sophia. And I'll stop there.
Wow.
I'll just stop right there. The good parts. The good parts. All right. Thank you very much, Mark A.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark A. Wow.
You'll see these on the thumbnail coming up.
All right. Lola S. also gave us something here. Lovely piece of work here. And the note reads, Dear Basil and Gons, here's a drawing I've made for you two as kitty cats. My baby brother added his own artistic touch by scribbling on kitty Gons.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, this is from the S family. Lola S is the child of Courtney S. And she did a wonderful piece here. We've got Gons and I as cats. My cat has a googly eyes on there. Gons, of course, has the glasses, the hat, the facial hair. We've got canaries, cute little yellow canaries standing on our heads. That's nice. And in the middle, there's, what is this? A robot thing?
Yeah.
A scary, looks like a Flippy. Yeah. Very red eyes, sharp teeth, and a giant canary standing on the robot. It says CCNT, and they put our logo up in the corner. This is wonderful. Thank you so much, Lola. You did a great job. Yeah. And also, thank you to, I think it was Cassius S. was the little brother. I hope.
Oh, Cassius, the little brother.
Cassius. Okay. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm looking
forward to
using this. Okay. That does it for the art. We did get something from Marty B, a little music that we'll play at the end of the show. But let's do some microfiction, or a microfiction, I believe. It's only one today.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
And this microfiction is from Stephen S.
Air Force Two lands in Kangunda for the historic meeting of the first female African president and the first female black U.S. vice president. They announced the groundbreaking of the nation's first microchip factory, while critics in the press question, is VP Harris African enough?
That's why we need DNA verification for all.
Oh boy. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was just checking to see if Runk Smash had sent one in.
I don't think
the last one I see was last one. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you to Stephen S. And yes, that whole microfiction based on Vice President Harris going to Africa, and we covered that a couple weeks ago. And I haven't heard much about it since. I don't know how it went. She came over there. She went over there with bags of money. I don't know. We'll see. We'll hear about it, I'm sure, in the future. Thank you very much.
Well, that's one way to get them on your side.
It is. Thank you very much to all the producers coming in with their treasure and their talent. We appreciate all of you.
Yes.
Should we move on?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you are a person of talent, or maybe if you're not a person of talent, but you want to lend whatever talent you have to the show, create something for the show, doesn't matter what it is, whatever it is, go to canarycry.art, canarycry.art, and you can upload your art there. And if you have any articles you want us to take a look at for the show, go to canarycry.report.
Okay.
And with that, I think we're just continuing, right, Gons?
Shut up and
what do you think? Do we need?
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Let's cut some of the big China stuff. Let's just go to the Antarctica just for time's sake today. And we'll cover those big China stories. Yeah, there's some big China stories. Although,
we'll do it on Friday.
Yeah, we'll do it Friday.
I was going to say,
spend some time on it
because we already have. We could save Antarctica for Friday, because we'll need an Antarctica story for Friday.
Really?
Yeah, it's Friday. You can't have a Friday show without an Antarctica story.
Okay.
That's
well, let's
talk.
save the China Antarctica story for Friday, and then we'll do World War III China and Antarctica. We'll start with World War III.
Wars and rumors of wars.
Chinese show!
Okay, this is fun, folks. If you listen to this show, you've known about this going on for quite some time. We caught this when the first rumblings started, leaking out from the authorities, and it's only recently the mainstream has thought it's, important to report on. But NewYorkPost.com. Headline, after FBI busts Chinese police station in New York City, 6 more exposed in the U.S.
Ooh, exposed.
Yeah, I love this because it was like last year, maybe even longer ago, we started talking about, the rumblings, the intel about the Chinese secret police operating in the U.S. And it's not until there's 6 more that the mainstream is pulling it up. The FBI... listen to this. The FBI helped shut down a clandestine Chinese police station in Manhattan after the arrest of 2 alleged operatives earlier this week. But the Post is told that there are several more of these illegal organizations scattered across the U.S.
Who did they help?
The FBI helps. Yeah. Who is helping the FBI, and why are they not being named? In addition to the Chinese police station above a noodle restaurant in Manhattan's Chinatown, there is another station at an undisclosed address in New York City, as well as an outpost in Los Angeles, according to a new report by Safeguard Defenders. The Madrid-based human rights group initially published a report last year detailing 100 clandestine Chinese police stations around the world. In addition to Los Angeles and New York, the nonprofit has found so-called overseas service stations in San Francisco and Houston. Oh, the Houston Meetup should go looking for the Chinese police station.
That might not end well. That might result in Asian hate.
And Houston, as well as in cities in Nebraska and Minnesota. These law enforcement organizations, operated by the Chinese Communist Party, are tasked with spying on Chinese nationals around the world. Quote, we found at least 4 listed in the U.S. by PRC, People's Republic of China, public security authorities, plus flagged an additional 4 overseas Chinese services in the U.S., set up by the UFWD networks responsible for manning the stations, a spokeswoman for Safeguard Defenders told the Post on Tuesday. UFWD is an acronym for United Front Work Department, a Chinese government agency that controls overseas ethnic and religious affairs. Often, the police stations whose operatives allegedly spy on dissidents and others hide behind nonprofits and community associations, according to Safeguard Defenders reports. In Chinatown, the police station was run by the America Changlei Association New York Incorporated, which owns the building at 107 East Broadway, where the operation was located, the Post revealed in October. The nonprofit, which listed its charitable mission as a social gathering place for Fujianese people, paid $1.3 million in 2016, blah, 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 they bought the office. Last year, the group held its annual gala dinner featuring New York City Mayor Eric Adams as the guest of honor. An event that was not disclosed on the mayor's official agenda.
Uh-oh.
You have Mayor Eric Adams, who, former police officer, New York City mayor, the guy. He was like the conservative liberal is how he was sort of, he's still liberal, but he'll bring law and order to New York or whatever. Turns out he's the guest of honor at the Chinese Communist Party secret police station in New York City. Gala. Yeah, he wore his tux. You gotta put on your Sunday best if you're meeting with the Chinese secret police. And you'd think like, oh well, maybe it was secret, he didn't know. It's a cover. He just thought he was doing a charity dinner. Well, then why wasn't it on his official agenda? Why was he hiding the fact that he's the guest
they got a
of
whole
honor
picture and everything.
Chinese secret police department.
The picture of him holding up a little certificate with these.
Yeah, you got
Chinese
a nice award for him.
Yeah.
This is a great story, and I'll tell you why. Because for a normie, you got your normies out there. You walk up to a normie and you say, "Hey, did you know that the Chinese Communist Party has secret police stations all over the United States?" They're going to say, okay, yeah, and I bet you think JFK was killed by the CIA and Bigfoot, this is a UFO.
And Jewish space lasers, is that what you're about?
Jewish space lasers, yeah, I see. And you go, no, actually, there are Chinese Communist Party secret police stations all over the U.S. And thank God, here's a bunch of mainstream reporting so your normies will believe it. This is like a paradigm shifting opportunity for some people who are still under the illusion of some sort of security or stability within the United States on our home territory. Anyways, a couple of these guys got arrested. The men allegedly shut down the station last year when they became aware of a federal investigation, according to the statement of the Department of Justice. Quote, while acting under the direction and control of an MPS, China's military of public security, Ministry of Public Security. Official Liu and Chen helped open and operate the clandestine police station, said the DOJ statement. None of the participants in the scheme informed the U.S. government that they were helping the PRC government surreptitiously open and operate an illegal MPS police station on U.S. soil. According to the criminal complaint, Liu also helped track down dissidents who were living in the city. Chinese officials also requested that he participate in demonstrations against Falun Gong, a religious movement subject to crackdown across the globe by the Chinese Communist Party, the complaint said. So there you go. They got. We've known about these for at least since last year, and they're making arrests. Turns out these guys had shut it down last year after the FBI had been, poking around, and they still got them, baby. They still got them.
The timing of all this China war stuff makes sense now too. That at the end of last year they were starting to shut down some pretty big operations out here, and then we start hearing the mainstream news about China war, blah blah blah. So kind of interesting. There was a real quick mention here. China starts, this is from Financial Times, China starts surgical retaliation against foreign companies after U.S.-led tech blockade. And this is about sanctions from China's end. We've heard this reported, smatterings, but this sort of wraps up, or at least lists a bunch of stuff that they've done over the last couple months. Chinese officials have slapped new sanctions on U.S. weapons companies Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. Launched an investigation into U.S. chipmaker Micron, raided U.S. due diligence firm Mintz, and apprehended local staff, detained a senior executive from Japan's Astellas Pharma Group, and hit London-headquartered Deloitte with a record fine. President Xi Jinping's administration is now considering curbing Western access to materials and technologies critical to the global car industry, according to the Commerce Ministry review. Is that an Elon Musk thing? Doesn't he have a Tesla factory out there? So
I think so.
Very interesting. This is, again, sort of a diplomatic sanction, Cold War, economic warfare taking place right in front of us. But, we're not going to really feel the effects for, a couple months maybe.
Well, I think it's interesting that a lot of the sanctions are targeted to American military-industrial complex companies.
Yeah.
Raytheon, Halliburton, these
that's
types
what I'm
of
saying,
guys.
though. Going back to the Elon point, if the military-industrial complex gets sort of demolished or damaged or injured, let's just say, hey, we got all this, Elon's got all the stuff, man. Just everyone hop on Twitter X, everyone start building, SpaceX is our ticket out with the, I don't know. It just seems like they're ready to go.
The sanctions against the military-industrial complex are specifically sort of relevant because we're talking about going to war with China.
Yeah.
And them sanctioning our military-industrial complex, it doesn't go too far into the details of what that is, but that can be either Raytheon, purchasing materials from China. That's where all the materials are. That's where so much of the electronics are created. You think we have the fabrication facilities in the U.S. where Raytheon and Halliburton are pressing their own microchips for, Patriot missiles. No, they get all that from China.
Yeah.
And so it's very strategic in that this is going to slow America's ability between now and 2027 when we're supposed to go to war with China.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be gearing up right now for a few years, manufacturing everything we're going to blow up in a few years. But with our military-industrial complex sanctioned by China, that's going to be very difficult. That could give them quite the head start in the old World War III.
Wrap with this, and we might have to do all of Antarctica on Friday. I have an appointment that I have to be at. I get fined if I'm late, so just
no worries. Let's get you out of here.
So this quote here: Dexter Roberts, a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, a Washington think tank, said he was surprised by Beijing's restraint, given the U.S.-led campaign to cut off China from core chip-making technologies had, quote, struck right at the heart of China's global advanced technological ambitions. Restraint, Basil. All these sanctions are just, they're not unleashing their wrath, apparently. yet.
Well, and the hilarious part is this is the Financial Times.
Yeah, exactly.
Which didn't this get connected to
Intelligence.
what's the ownership of this sucker?
Let's see. Financial Times. Let me do a Financial Times.
I can't remember, but if it was the CIA that's Financial Times or if that's the Chinese guy.
Japanese financial news giant Nikkei is the owner. Based in London, England, the paper has a core editorial offices across Britain. It doesn't say. Private employee owned, Japan's largest company media. Huh. I thought this was a different
Japanese one. Maybe they're getting a good deal on oil.
Well, it makes sense that they covered Japan quite a bit here. And because they talk about how Japan doesn't have their own central intelligence or sophisticated intelligence agency.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny thing to say.
Wasn't there an outlet that was owned by Falun Gong?
Yes, that is Epoch Times.
That's Epoch Times. Yeah. Okay. That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, this is how it starts.
This is how it starts. Yeah.
This is how it
it's
starts,
all going
folks.
down.
Yeah.
All right. Apologies for cutting it off a little short today. But got to be somewhere.
No worries. Yeah. You got lives to live and lives to keep living over there. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Sorry about the cutoff, but we really appreciate you showing up to listen to this show. We've got a couple more producers to thank. These are producers who helped out with their time. That's right. If maybe you don't have...
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
Maybe you're not equipped to help the show out financially or with art or whatever, but there's plenty of opportunities to help out with processes and stuff on our back end. There's a lot of administrative stuff and stuff that just needs to get done that Gons and I are incapable of doing. And that's why we like to thank these producers who help us out, starting with our Clippies, Gons. Clippy on those videos. Thanks. That's right. They clip the show. They make the shorts. They make the clip shorts. They make the long clips. They make it all, baby. And you can appreciate them by going to the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and or Odyssey, where you can find shorter segments of the show. It's a great way to review information or just spend some time hanging out with your best buddies, Basil and Gons. But thank you to producers Emsworth, Faye Liver, and Jolmes and Laura for helping to do their part to manage all of that stuff. It's very appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And that's made possible by the Timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. They timestamp the show, every show. It's incredible. And thank you to Jade Bouncerson for timestamping episode 613. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Just a quick mention to leave us ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. Yeah, it's really helpful. I know that it's sort of a burden for me to ask for ratings and reviews because, I mean, I'm just assuming that people are put off by the idea that they could leave stars and reviews and things like that to help out their buddies in their quest to beat the algorithms. We have no control over it, but you do. So leave us ratings and reviews over on Apple Podcasts or Audible or wherever you listen to this. That's extremely helpful for everybody involved. And thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Clank for the assistance. Thank you to everybody who left us articles to review at canarycry.report.
It's Brother G and Jam, I believe, are the recent.
Love it. Yep. Thank you. Other than that, just share the show, folks. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your house plants as well as the cats. Make sure every living creature knows that Canary Cry News Talk is here to help them navigate the swamp that is the mainstream media with quality analysis and deconstruction. And if you don't know how to share the show, you don't have to do it any regular way. You can be a sort of hero, kind of like the robots. If you're out and about, you're at work, you're doing whatever, just fall to the ground and lay there. And when people ask what you're doing, you say, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm making a statement about modern capitalism and the commoditization of the lifespan of individual humans put and crafted into individual economic units that only serve the highest pinnacle of the pyramid of the pyramid scheme that is Earth. Well, you can do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. You can do it any way you want. We like to call it rattling cages. And if you need any more instructions, all you do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Yeah, and if you haven't done it yet, folks, go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button, the stuff, those buttons that mean so much to your best buddies, those thumbs ups. Again, help out with the algos. Don't leave the stream until you hit the thumbs up. Appreciate it very much. And Gons, do you got any last words?
I think maybe the Friday Antarctica update was some kind of Holy Spirit thing, because tomorrow, 4/20, there's an eclipse that will be visible from Antarctica. So maybe we're just waiting for a big Antarctica package on Friday. Of course, it's Hitler's birthday tomorrow, Columbine shooting, Ancient Alien Episode 1, Deepwater Horizons explosion was 2010. I don't know why that's on the calendar. But yeah, 4/20, baby. We'll see you on 4/21.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time, but until then, think outside the cage.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
I'll keep you warm and safe, and my people too.
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, gold. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun.
Bye, 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 bye.
I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support